Let's start part 3 with our common sense question. What is the approximate visual field covered by each human eye? Okay, 130 degrees, 160 degrees, 180 degrees, or it is 220 degrees. So I hope you know this much of mathematics, that this is 180 and this complete round is 360. So let's suppose you are standing over here. These are your pretty eyes, and what visual field you can cover by each human eye? Can you see what is behind like this? I mean, just behind your cerebellum or behind your back. Are you able to see that? No. But 90 degrees in front of you, obviously, and sideways also you can see if you will roll this eyeball till here and here and here and here like that. Okay. So what it eventually becomes the answer as it is 180 degrees. And if you know that Hindi slang called as kanakiyon se dekhna. So what does that kanakiya standing for? These are standing for that 180 degrees. Okay. So have you ever seen someone with kanakiya? You know what is 180 degrees. Okay. Now moving forward to the next question, that is going to be once again an easy one. And this question has been taken from, don't worry, it will come in your clinical psychology as well. Okay, so forensic clinical majorly questions are approximately similar, and we will finish this part on those lines when we will have questions similar on your clinical psychology paper as well. Okay, so what I mean by saying this is that you are doing this forensic one and that clinical one. Okay, mphil clinical psychology, and you are doing for forensic psychology. So 40% of questions are similar in these two paper of previous year 2023. Okay, so we will solve the different ones. For the similar ones, you can just refer to that clinical psychology playlist, so that you will have more options to explore and more questions to practice. Okay, as we are talking about the practice thing, here is the mock test series called as the clinical mock test series, which comprises of CC1 to CC15, 15 set of questions, 100 questions each. So you will have more options to practice. Along with that, you get some more perks and benefits depending upon mood. But this CC1 to CC15 are fixed. You will get these 15 mock tests, each comprising of 100 questions to practice for your examinations, and question will be coming from here only. To join, check the description, mail them, get the details, and move ahead. Just like we have move ahead in which what is not an example of perceptual constancy. Okay, so if we talk about perceptual constancy, you will find this in NCRTs as well as your C book or any other general psychology book. You will find about perceptual constancy. Okay, so what does constancy, from where this constancy is coming from? This is coming from the word called as constant. Okay, if you know about Planck's constant, good. But what does constant mean? That it is not going to change. Okay, so that is the difference between a constant and a variable. What is a variable? Variable is something that is going to vary. Your age, height, or something that is going to vary is called as the variable. Something which is not going to change is called as the constant, and from this constant word comes the word called as constancy. And we are talking about what? We are talking about now the perceptual. Okay, so whatever you are perceiving about something, it is not going to change, and we are talking about that. Now, what is not an example of perceptual constancy? Size, shape, brightness, or dimension. So obviously we are having dimensions as the correct answer over here, because we are having perceptual constancy of size, shape, and brightness, and these three are very IMP. Okay, so next time also this question might come, so be prepared for that. But obviously dimensions is not. And one more question which comes from here is that about the depth perception. So if we talk about the depth perception, how we perceive the 3D images. Okay, have you ever watched a 3D movie? You know how the pictures are coming right in front of you, and these are called as for the dimensions. And if we talk about the depth as well, one more name you should remember, called as Eleanor Gibson. She performed experiment on little cute little infants about what? About depth perception. Okay, whether they are able to perceive depth or not, and it has been found in animals as well. Okay, that is some other day the story. Now moving forward to the next one, because when we stare at an object, you are staring at this beautiful tree, blue tree. Each eye receives slightly different image, providing a depth cue. Your this right eye and this left eye, or left right, this left one and this is right one. Why these are perceiving different images, slightly different, not that different but slightly different? Why this is happening? This is happening because of the convergence. No, linear perspective, relative motion. Okay, relative motion and retinal disparity. What do you think is going to be the correct answer? The correct answer is your retinal disparity. Okay, sometimes it is also called as binocular disparity as well. Okay, so retinal disparity is the correct answer, and that is the example given in C book as well, or in any NCRT as well, that what you can find out that. Okay, but the correct answer over here is option number 4, retinal disparity. Convergence is not the thing over here. Linear perspective is these two rail lines or road lines. You perceive this the equal length, but it is getting diluted, or it is getting narrow as we move forward. Obviously not the relative motion. The correct answer is your retinal disparity. And why these two options are relevant, if you know, comment down. No comment. Nobody comment, so it's okay. Now, what is the thing happening over here? Convergence and retinal disparity is why these two are, how these are related, because these are what? These are your binocular cues. Okay, and rest this linear perspective is what? It is your monocular cue. To read more about that, refer to the books. And let's move forward to next question. This is a good question. A good question. You have to use your mind over here. Long axons, not mind, brain. Long axons are present at. It will be present at the sympathetic nerves, parasympathetic, or motor or afferent neurons. Now drawing back the same thing called as, this is called as the brain, this is the spinal cord, and rest what you are having is the periphery or the peripheral nervous system. Okay. Now sympathetic nerves and parasympathetic nerves, what is the main function of these? This will make your body in a hurry, and this will make your body in a cool and calm state. Okay. Now what is the afferent neurons do? What is the work of them? I mean, what is the work of these afferent neurons? The afferent neurons will bring signal from your senses, this is your hand, to your brain. Okay, that is why we are referring to the afferent. And what will the efferent will do? Efferent will take from the brain to the signal to the this hand your. Okay, so this is the distinction between afferent neuron and efferent neuron. And motor neurons is what you will do your work and all those things. And long axons, now first of all the question is why we need long axons? Because we want our signal to travel to long distances. Okay, so if you want something to travel, I mean, just tell me this thing. If you want to go from here to here in a quick time, which path will you choose? You will choose this path, or will you choose this path? Obviously both of them are having its own benefits, but what will you choose? You will choose this path because this is the quickest. Okay, because you want your signal from neuron n1 to neuron nth. You want to reach that signal quickly so that you can move quickly your hand, or you can run quickly from that danger position. Okay, and this is what happens when we talk about what? When we talk about your sympathetic division or sympathetic nerves, as they have mentioned over here. Okay, so what is happening in sympathetic? Your body is active, very active. You are in a hurry, you are going to give your examination, you are going to catch a train, you are being beaten up by someone, you are running, you are fighting. What is active? Sympathetic. And while your sympathetic division is active, what you need in your life is to travel signals quickly and fast. But what happens when you are relaxed, you are watching movies, what is happening? Your parasympathetic is activated. And that is why long axons are present at the parasympathetic nerves, because the signal can go slow. Obviously it will be fast, but it can reach to longer distances. So what is the correct answer? It is the parasympathetic nerves. Now moving forward to the next one, the neurotransmitter which influences normal memory function. Normal memory function is acetylcholine, dopamine, serotonin or norepinephrine. Okay. Now, if you can recall, we have discussed in this series, or maybe in Nfsu mphil clinical psychology series, about the working of this norepinephrine, from where it is coming. Is it coming from the medulla, or is it coming from the cortex? If you know the correct answer, make sure that you comment down below. This is a good one. Now, serotonin, obviously not. Dopamine is your pleasure. We have already solved this thing in this series as well. So what remains left is the acetylcholine is the correct answer, which influences normal memory function. They have mentioned about normal memory explicitly. Okay, and now if you know about Facebook and WhatsApp, you will be able to solve this question. Now what does the question says? It says that damage to this region, which region? Known as dash, produces three major symptoms. Okay, what are these major symptoms? Inability to recognize spoken words, to tell one word from another. Inability to understand the meaning of these words. Okay, the main problem is in the comprehension, and inability to convert thoughts into words. Okay, so the main problem lies in the comprehension portion only. Okay, and if you know about Facebook, okay, Facebook lets you speak something. Okay, and so broca area will be eliminated. Cerebellum is for your bodily functions, and basal ganglia is not the part over here. So what is left is the Wernicke's area is the correct answer for this particular question, because in Wernicke's area we will discuss about the WhatsApp. Okay, so what you will do, you will WhatsApp and you will understand, comprehend some everything in the WhatsApp. And Broca's area is okay. Some of you might not know what is Facebook and WhatsApp, so now let's explore that. Facebook stands for your frontal lobe, and Broca area is present in the frontal lobe. WhatsApp stands for the Wernicke's area presented in the temporal lobe, as well as you will have the auditory association cortex in that particular lobe. Okay, now where you are having these lobes in your brain, this is the frontal lobe right above your eyes, then the parietal one where you are having the somatosensory cortex, the occipital one visual cortex, and this is called the temporal right behind your ears. Okay, so whenever you have hearing problem, obviously it will lead to problem with the comprehension, because the signal is going to the, okay, this is some for another day, the complete detailing you can join the full program. Okay, now there's no program. Okay, question number 47, schizophrenia and Parkinson's disease. The options are given as serotonin, glutamate, dopamine, and acetylcholine. Okay, now acetylcholine is used for what? Acetylcholine. Okay, acetyl or acetyl? Acetylcholine is used for the pronunciation, for what? Your normal memory function. Serotonin or glutamate, okay, they have written SERO over here, but they have written SERETONIN. Okay, just something with that. Okay, now both linked to changes in which neurotransmitter? So what is the correct answer? It is the dopamine over here. Now what is dopamine doing? It is giving you pleasure. And one more important thing is you need to remember is with schizophrenia and Parkinson's. So what is happening in schizophrenia is the dopamine is in excess, and you will find the same statement in NCERT as well. Okay, so if have you ever read NCERT, then in NCERT it is mentioned clearly that if you have dopamine high, you will have the excess of, you will have schizophrenia. Okay, if dopamine is excess in your body or what, brain, mind, whichever area, region. And in Parkinson's it's just the opposite. Okay, so make sure that you remember the correlation as well, why I am teaching correlation over here. Okay, so now it is a negative correlation between dopamine, schizophrenia, and Parkinson. You will enjoy this. Let's find out. So what is happening in schizophrenia? In schizophrenia, dopamine will get high and P will get down. Okay, so this is dopamine. This arrow is what? This arrow signifies the dopamine. So in schizophrenia, dopamine will go high, giving you hallucinations and delusions. And in Parkinson's, dopamine will go down low. Okay, so dopamine producing cells will not produce that much dopamine, and you will be what? You will be a victim for the Parkinson's disease. And for schizophrenia, I hope you understood this correlation. And what type of correlation is this? It is a negative one. Okay, between schizophrenia and Parkinson we are talking, just for our learning and our experiences on. Okay, now can you answer this? If dopamine is high, what will happen to you? It will be schizophrenia. And when dopamine is low, what will happen with you? It is the Parkinson's disease. And I pray nobody should get this. Now moving forward to next, but obviously we'll get the patients. Now DSM stands for how basic question they can ask. The proof is right in front of you. Diagnostic, and okay, I'm not going to answer. I don't know the correct answer for this. Please comment down below what is going to be the correct answer. I am thinking option number first is correct. Diagnostic and scientific method of mental disorders. Option number A is the correct answer. If you think it is wrong, prove me wrong in the comment section. Moving forward to the next one, the XO combination in females is primarily associated with. Okay, before we find the correct answer for this, let me tell you this PKU, phenylketonuria, Klinefelter syndrome, Down syndrome, Turner syndrome, everything is mentioned where? In the C book. Clearly mentioned in the C book. And if I can remember correctly, you will find in the developmental one. Okay, and any other book if you are referring or preferring or you like, you can go ahead and read from there as well, but it is clearly paper is set from the C book only. And that is what on based we have prepared our clinical mock test series of 15 set. Okay, that was the promotion part. Now, why this is important? Because in C book, if you don't have this the PDF version, you can join the Telegram link, and from there you can access the ebook for free. Okay. Now, this PKU, Klinefelter syndrome, Down syndrome, everything is what is present in the C book. Now, we are going to talk about the exo combination in females is primarily associated with. Is it associated with PKU, Klinefelter, Down syndrome, or the Turner syndrome? What do you think is the correct answer? But before we get the answer, we have to go to the flashback. Right before this thing, this is a cell, this is also a cell. Okay, this is the sperm cell, these are the ovaries. So the process takes place called as the fertilization, and we are formed as a single cell. This is called as what? This is called as a zygote. Okay, the very first single cell is our zygote. But before we reach this zygote and study about this, let's try to find out what happened over here. Okay, so this was the father, the XY, and this was the mother, the XX. Okay, now the fertilization takes place and it went down to a single cute little zygote. Okay, now this zygote is formed, and now what this will do, this single cell will start division. Okay, it will start splitting into two, and what this splitting into two process is called, it is called as the mitosis. Okay, it is one more thing, meiosis, but that is not a concern right now, because mitosis you might find in the examination. So mitosis is the important. What it signifies, it signifies the split between a cell or divide into, called as the mitosis. Okay, so now what will happen next is, again two division from here, two division from here, then again two from here, two from here, two from here, and that is how your complete, your body embryo is formed and all those things is formed. Okay, and now right now what you are, because only of the mitosis. Okay, what it is happening, the division of cells is happening, and when this division of cells get exceeded n number of times, you will have tumors and cancer and all those things. Okay, why? Because cell do not stop the thing which they need to do. Okay, but that is not the concern right now. Concern is this XX and XY. Okay, so zygote form over here. Now what this zygote will be having, either he will be having XY or she will be having XX. Okay, but that is what the picture comes into the Turner syndrome. Okay, so let's suppose if someone is having a Turner syndrome, so in spite of having, and this has happened majorly in females. Okay, in females, that is why the question is also mentioning about the females. Okay, now fair enough. In females, what is happening? In females, 100% of time, what you will have, what is the thing you will have? You will have the XX chromosome. Definitely you have studied in science 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, but in Turner syndrome you will have XO or OX, whichever way. Okay, there is only one X chromosome, as you can see over here, XO. A female should have XX. Okay, but what she is having a XO, it will be called as the Turner syndrome. Okay, Down syndrome is called as the trisomy 21 as well, and Klinefelter is called the that thing when you use so much of alcohol and all those things. So what will happen in a Klinefelter? It will be a XXY instead of only XY. Okay, now moving forward to the next one, called as question number 50. The electroencephalogram relies upon. Options are signals from signal electrode attached to the forehead, signals from several pairs of electrodes attached to various parts of the scalp, polygraph rhythms, and monitoring of rapid eye movements. Okay, this is also not, this will be done in the EMG, I guess, and electroencephalogram, EEG. What is cephalo standing for? Your brain, and that your arena. Electro means you are having the electrodes and all those things. So there will be signals from several pairs of electrodes, not just a single electrode. Okay, so option number second becomes the correct answer over here. Okay, now moving forward to the next one, and from this 50th question your research starts. Research is what? Working in a scientific way to search, finding solutions, searching again and again, identifying the problem. So what is a research? It is working in a scientific way to search the truth of any problem. This is called as research. Don't worry, it will not repeat. A researcher is interested in studying the prospects of a particular political party in an urban area. What method should he prefer for the study? Prospects of a particular political party in an urban area. Conducting interview, will he be conducting interview, preparing a scheduled document, rating on a scale of 10, or circulating questionnaires? Circulating questionnaires is the answer. Let's move forward. You have to study about this thing for research in detail. The conclusions, findings of which type of research cannot be generalized to other situations. For the historical research, descriptive, experimental, or causal comparative research. So obviously 3, 4 you will do. One you can also do, but not the second one. Descriptive research you cannot generalize to other situations as well. The format of thesis writing is the same as in. Have you ever written a thesis? Preparation of a research paper article, writing of seminar presentation, a research dissertation, presenting a workshop conference paper. So it is similar to a research dissertation. Let's move forward. These kind of questions you are finding in what? Not neuropsychology. What this paper is? Forensic psychology. A researcher, now this is a good one. A researcher attempts to evaluate the effect of weight gain on the self-esteem of adults. Which method of research would be appropriate for this? Evaluate the effect of weight gain on the self-esteem of adults. What it will be? Will it be a case study, experimental method, ex post facto, or survey method? A researcher attempts to evaluate the effect of weight gain on the self-esteem of adults. Obviously, it is not a case study, not an experiment. Survey how you can do it is a ex post facto method. You have to study research in great detail, great depth if you have to solve these questions of forensic psychology. In dash random sampling, units are randomly. Okay, so now from here we are having this thing. Okay, this is a PYQ repeat from your mphil clinical psychology. You can find the answer for that in that series. Research methodology term refers to the methods which are used in the collection of data analysis. Rules and regulations on how to write, no. Methods on how to conduct study analysis, no. Conceptual framework for data collection, analysis and interpretation. This is the correct statement, option number 4. Okay, so what is research methodology? Conceptual framework for how you will collect data, how you will analyze and how you will interpret is called as the research methodology. Now, which of the following is an example of applied research? So what is applied research signifies that you can apply this thing in a real time situation. Okay, research on finding out which administrative style contributes more to institutional effectiveness. Research on an investigation of the role of social media in the perception of self-image. Research of investing how the public senses of influential government officials differs between urban and non-urban areas. Examining the effects of sleep deprivation on mood. Okay, so you will do this one, research on finding out which administrative style contributes to institutional effectiveness. I don't think these kind of PYQs will repeat again. They will just form new one. And testing of hypothesis. Yes, this is IMP, testing of hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis can be tested and null hypothesis can be tested. So you should be knowing the difference between the H0 and HA, and that is how you will solve. The correct answer is both 1 and 2. We can test this and test this as well, and this is the correct answer for this particular question. Moving forward to the next one. Which of the following does not correspond to the characteristics of research? Research is not passive. Research is systematic. Research is not a problem oriented. Research is not a process. And what the question is asking, it is asking you does not correspond to the characteristics of research. Okay, so what are the characteristics of research? Research is not passive. Systematic obviously is not a problem oriented, obviously. So research is not a process is the correct answer over here, option number 4. Moving forward to the next one, and these all you can solve. These are all once again the repetition from your mphil clinical psychology. So make sure that you watch that nfsu series for these kind of questions, because majorly rest of the questions are repetition from that same paper. Okay, so this was part number 3. And if you have missed part 2 and part 1, make sure that you watch both these part 2, part 1 from the complete playlist. And wish you all the very best for the upcoming examination. Thank you. And if you have completed all the 3 parts, you can go and check the NFSU mphil clinical psychology playlist, and there you have more questions, and whichever questions are left, you will find more questions coming from there as well. Okay, it's just the same. That is why we have chosen this paper to be solved, because it will help you for the upcoming examination. Okay, all right. Those who want to join the test series, they can just mail, take the details, and welcome. Solve those 1500 questions. All the answers you will be knowing before the examination, because you will practice. But of course, and thank you.